So why did every culture on Earth simultaneously decide that gold was valuable?
Because it's precious and it's easily malleable.
Yeah, but why? Why? I mean, malleable, yes, but precious? Like, who decided that? That's an arbitrary design.
Is it rare?
Yeah, gold is rare. There is a limited amount of it, but we didn't know that when we decided to start using it as money. Because nowadays, gold really serves no other purpose than as a valuable commodity. It has use as an electronic conductor. Those are the only two things that we really use gold for. Its non-corrosive properties are to some degree of value, but the fact that we all decided at once that this shiny rock should be exchanged for goods and services, like, that's kind of strange.
It's fancy, it's rare, and it's kind of easy to use for jewelry, I guess.
It was malleable, they could shape it into stuff easily, and it was shiny.
Yeah.
They liked it.
I just find it fascinating that everybody agreed to that. Like, it's yeah, that's cool.
Because humans are easily led.
But consumerism is a relatively recent phenomenon in the Industrial Revolution. We didn't really have that kind of stuff 1,000 years ago. Consumerism wasn't the same. It was more of a product-based service. Now we just buy shit because it looks nice.
It's kind of how, like, I think it was Germany or Russia, one of the two. At some point, the country is going to go into famine. So what the leader at the time basically did was he got like a field of potatoes and said, these potatoes are special. None of it, like, because the poor people wouldn't eat potatoes because they thought it was just disgusting. So then he pulled the tactic of, these potatoes are great. I'm like the only one that can eat them. And then like the poor people started eating the potatoes because they were just like, oh, this person's doing it. I want to do it.
There was a story about like how Russia was cultivating potatoes at first. It's kind of wild.
Basically, people higher up in the societal chain at the time said this stuff's special and none of you can have it. So that basically made everyone want to have it.
Well, we kind of did this off an IOU system at first. Like, we just owe you X amount of barley or whatever, and then the IOUs got exchanged for gold instead. And now, instead of an IOU, we actually literally rely on the IOU as the monetary system. This is where I'm confused and upset. Because we're no longer using these monetary devices as a bill of sale. We're using them as the actual product commodity that we're exchanging. This is how the wealth inequality situation has gotten so out of hand.
Technically, when you spend the dollar, it's meant to represent how much gold you actually
No, not anymore. We did away with the gold standard with Lyndon B. Johnson when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. That's why they killed him, as far as most well-recognized and approved conspiracy theories would agree, because he signed the Federal Reserve Bank Act. Lyndon B. Johnson did as soon as he was inaugurated as president. The same day he signed the Federal Reserve Act, removing the gold and silver standard from our money. That happened.
But technically, your money is worthless.
Yes, technically our money is worthless, and this is the confusion that I am experiencing.
But it's not worthless.
Well,
It is, though. It has nothing.
It has no intrinsic real value.
Yeah.
It's digital. It's all just numbers on a computer screen now. Most of the currency and hard actual exchangeable money is like 1% of all the money in the world right now.
What would you be able to do with no money?
Same thing I can do right now. I have no money, and I'm doing just fine.
Actual no money.
Yeah, I would build a cabin and eat animals and make fire.
Yeah, and your neighbors.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, though. There's nothing actually to back up like money these days.
Right.
As like it was like 100 years ago.
Right. You could walk into a bank and say, hey, I want the gold bars instead of this dollar, and they'd go, okay, and they'd give you the gold value of whatever your money was. Nowadays, you have to buy a gold bar for whatever the exchange rate is, and that didn't used to be the case. Your $1 bill was exactly worth X amount of gold.
I mean, just because it's a bit more complicated of a system doesn't really make it any less worth value.
It's not the idea it's not worth anything. It's we place how much it's worth. It goes by what we say it's worth.
It's like, close your eyes, say free market, blah, 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 and that's it.
Well, we have a tendency to idolize people who do nothing more than sit on all of the money. They haven't accomplished anything, but we put them on pedestals and act like they are gods to us.
That's because humanity is like, a lot of people will just like to follow people. They don't like to think for themselves.
It's the same psychology hook like with nobility and stuff.
Yeah.
It's your idol, and you just like an idol.
Humans like to have someone they can like follow. It's like the old saying, some people are born natural leaders, some people are followers.
I've never heard that used like that before.
Yeah, I usually say lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Yeah, see, most people would rather just
If
follow.
you're getting out of the way, you're following orders.
Yeah, so the following.
No. You just don't get in the way of the people who are following orders.
Yeah, but that's like the point is humanity overall would just like follow someone's opinion.
That's what I have a problem with. We don't seem to teach deductive reasoning in schools.
Because it's not profitable for us to teach.
And that's the problem. It's all about profit. This is where I have an issue.
I completely agree with you on
because
this.
profit doesn't exist anymore. It's a non-real commodity, and what good does it do you to have profit when you only keep it for yourself and you take it from others?
It feels good.
Yeah, that's bullshit. That's terrible. Like, that's a vain...
Most rich people are depressed as hell.
Yeah, I don't know any rich people who are happy. They're always searching for some new thing to buy, and they're always filling their hearts with zero, and, all they care about is the accumulation of money, and money is numbers. They go up to infinity.
Well,
You'll never be happy.
We can't just give up all the cool shit and say, let's have a reset.
And
Just
the
doesn't
multi-billionaires don't fall into this category. They don't have the same kinds of concerns that you and I have to worry about. They've never worried about when their next meal is.
It's kind of like the middle class to the poor class sort of thing. Everyone has their own different worries.
But the disparation between the two has become so large that there is no middle class anymore. We've convinced our populace that all they need is big TVs and fancy video games and bigger tits, and then they're happy. But that's not the
middle
truth.
class now would technically be the higher class than before, because the middle class and the lower class, there is a very big divide between rich and like reasonable off at the moment.
Yeah, there's a massive divide in it. But here in America, we didn't used to have that. That was what separated America. The middle class had the opportunity to become the higher class because we didn't build aristocracy. But now we have. For some reason, over the last 40 years, the aristocracy has stepped in and said, you know what, we are in control.
It always happens like that, no matter the society in history.
Right, and it's time to seize the means of production. It's
I
time.
have a funny feeling you support communism.
No,
You're
not
mean.
communism. Communism doesn't work either.
Okay, good.
No, what we need is an independent model where the entire world can vote at once. Because we're all connected now.
It's actually true. There's no point in having borders anymore.
Right. We need to do away with time zones and borders and go with one world time. We need to go with one world economy. We need to go with one world government. Chuckle all you fucking want to, man, but it's the way. We are a one world society. We are the human race. We are piloting this spaceship Earth through an inky blackness of cosmos surrounding by nothingness, and hurling into a giant ball of fire. If we don't get our act together pretty soon, we're going to annihilate each other, and the cockroaches will get their turn.
I think given the chance, if you spell your political opinions a lot in like a public stance, people would probably follow you.
That is kind of what I'm doing here.
That's a perfect world situation, just like people who preach communism saying their perfect world would work.
Yeah, I don't know what the perfect model is, because that doesn't exist, but I do know that we, the people of the world, need to get together and do something about this. Because the people of the world are in agreement, probably. We don't like being oppressed. We don't like being told how to live. And we certainly don't like our livelihoods being dictated by those that we've never met and have no connection
It's
to.
basically when we work as a collective, we can complete as much more than one.
Precisely. And the things that bring us together are far greater and in more connection than the things that drive us apart. Our skin color, our personal proclivities, our sexual preferences, none of this shit matters. We are equally worthless.
We're gonna keep having this divide and things because when we're young, we're told we're different to
Yes,
different people.
and we believe it. We believe that we're special, and we believe that we're important, and we believe that our opinions have value, and they don't. Facts don't give a shit about your feelings.
Yeah, I agree with
And
you.
it's hard to find the worst offenders are the trolls of the internet who seem to think that hurting people is a good way to what? I don't even know what their motivation is. I can't understand
It
it.
depends. Usually the motivation is they just want to have a laugh.
Right, but they're the only ones having a laugh. It's so much better if you can have a laugh with everybody, because then you might get a laugh, they'll get a laugh, and then more laughs come. They just want to end the laughter and be in charge of the comedy. Like, I don't know what the hell trolls are doing.
Usually trolls are people that tend to be like not social outcasts, but not very social.
What it used to be, trolls, we used to be there specifically to make stupid people get their arguments out there, and then we could all point and laugh at the stupid person. But now the trolls are the stupid people. They've adopted our ways so that they can get what they want. And they're winning because they're loud and they're vocal. And us not trolls, or those of us who troll the trolls, are becoming less and fewer because there are very few leaders. Most people want to follow, or get out of the way. And now the trolls and the not trolls are fighting, but there's so few of them that the get out of the ways are just like, well, let's see who wins. I feel like there's a way to stop this. We have the power, and if we don't do something soon, bad things are going to happen.
Lies in the educational system.
It's not just in the educational system. I mean, look at this. I'm talking to you instantaneously without having any method of knowing who you are, and you're in another country, and we're talking about world politics. I couldn't do that 8 months ago. I couldn't do that last year. I couldn't do that in 1997.
Where do you start if you want to change a culture?
Right here, talking to you guys, spreading the word. Because if we can all agree that something bad is going on at the same time, just like we all agreed that gold was valuable, then we can all agree on what to do about it.
See, there's always the type of person, though, that just wants to argue against it for the sake of arguing.
And those people will be marginalized and forced out of the culture.
There's also people who just don't agree.
Yeah, but some of them don't agree because of a place of deductive reasoning. If you disagree with me with arguments and facts, I will listen to your arguments and facts, and I will take them into consideration, maybe even change my point of view. But if you're just disagreeing with someone so that you can make them angry and you don't actually believe in something, then you're a troll and you don't even know what you're talking about.
I actually completely agree with most of the stuff you're saying, though, and I get what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not hard to understand what I'm trying to say. And I'm emphatic about it, and it does upset me, but I'm not a lunatic or something. I have a cogent argument and the ability to make it. I'm a nutter, you know it.
We're all nutters. We're all on the internet speaking to each other instead of being outside and being social.
I'm not being social at 11:21.
It's 8:21 a.m. here. Like, nobody to be social with in my small hick town, and all of the people in the small hick town, I'm moving. I don't want to be here anymore. I am abandoning these people.
Do they not agree with your ideas?
No, they don't even notice that I'm not there. So if I went without a phone for a year and nobody called me, and I was out in public talking to people, and the last 2 weeks I haven't left the house except to do business and pay bills and, like work, and nobody's tried to contact me. So, I guess I'm right in trying to leave this area. Nobody gives a shit if I'm here, so I might as well fucking leave.
You didn't have a phone for a year, and you were worried that people didn't call you.
No. I was worried that I was missing calls, and then when I got a phone again, nobody had noticed that I did not have a phone. No one had called me. No missed messages. All right, then. Because anybody who wanted to contact me could have contacted me on Facebook, and all of those people live in other states. All of those people live in other cities. This town that I moved to 6 years ago, has not adopted me, and I have not adopted it, and I am leaving. I don't judge the people. I am judgmental, but I don't judge them for being who they are. I just know that I'm not going to change this area. I don't like living here, and the police in this area violate your civil rights and just want to put you in jail. I live in Illinois. The whole political scheme of this state, we're the most bankrupt state in the union. We're the most corrupt state in the union. Everybody talks about Chicago like it's the murder capital of the world, when in fact it is not per capita. Like, there's way more dangerous places than Chicago. But I'm tired of the bad rap that everybody in this town decides to own. They're like, yeah, fuck everybody. We are corrupt. We are broke. We're proud of it. What's wrong with you fuckers? This state and America in general likes to champion its character flaws as virtues. Oh, well, you can't handle me being a bitch? Well, that's just who I am.
I think that's just people
wanting to belong.
Yeah, but they want to belong by excluding others and disconnecting themselves and only having hangers-on and followers. That's another thing, the economy of likes and follows. They're worth nothing, but we still don't want to give them to people. How many times you watch a YouTube video you liked, but you didn't click the like button, you didn't subscribe because you were like, eh.
I mainly forget to do it, but the point is, when we do that, when someone gets a like or something on Facebook, it basically stimulates the same thing which a drug would stimulate in your brain, sort of thing.
Right, but it's worth nothing to us. It costs us nothing to click, and we still hold on to it like it has some intrinsic value.
Well, by holding on to it, it does make it more valuable.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
You can't trade likes and comments in exchange for goods and services. Do you see what I'm saying here? We hold on to our likes like they're worth money.
You can,
saying experiences aren't valuable because you can't trade them?
Experiences aren't as valuable as goods and services and food and shelter and warmth.
Because you can't trade them right now.
I'm just saying that it's fascinating to me that we still hold on to our likes as if they have some intrinsic value. Even when we like something, don't upvote it, don't like it, don't share it, don't subscribe it, don't comment on it. Because we're so private, we think that we're so important that giving our likes away would lessen us somehow. Like we're giving away our essence of being. That's bullshit.
Mostly valuable
I
for
don't
the
like
host.
things because I just
For
can't
the
be
host
bothered.
they're using, like for YouTube or Facebook. That's what it's used most by.
I think
No,
you're missing my point there. You're explaining the algorithms of YouTube to me, and I'm very familiar with how programming works. I'm talking about philosophy.
But I mean, that's the main point why it even exists in the first place.
Okay, asking why we exist is a nonsense question that has no answer.
No, he's saying that's why those things exist, like likes.
No, I know that's why they
Yeah.
exist. I'm not talking about why they exist. You're missing the point again. And I'm not going to feed you because you're trolling me.
I'm really not. But okay.
You totally are, and I'm not playing along anymore. The point I'm trying to make is that we think we're so important, we can't click a fucking button.
Is that how you feel about not liking videos? I've never, ever thought about that.
No. I noticed this. I look at a video, and there's a video with 1,560,000 views, but it only has 3,000 upvotes and 130 downvotes. How does that make sense? This many people watched the video, and there's not even 1% of them that took the time to say, I like it. They watch it every day, but they didn't take the time to say, I like it every day. This is Stephen Colbert's videos. I watch his videos every day because I don't watch his show at night. I catch up on the news I missed while I was sleeping. And I see that he gets millions of views, but he only gets like 6,000 upvotes. Like it's not even 1%. What the fuck is going on here?
I think people just don't think about upvoting these things. And if they do, maybe they just think other people will do it since it is good.
Right, that's the problem. They always just shuffle it off to somebody else. My roommate won't like a video if it's shared by someone who didn't create the product. Like, that's a good reason not to like something. You don't want to give the algorithm a reason to give this dude more money when he didn't produce the individual thing. He's a reposter, or guys that make playlists and stuff like that. That makes sense to me. But every day I watch a monochrome of videos, and if I like them, before the video's over, if they get me in the first minute or so, I'll like that button. At any point, if I go, yeah, I like that, I'm going to hit that like button. And that's just because it's of no value to me. And I rarely downvote anything. I rarely say I don't like something because I don't often come across something that I wouldn't like, which is another thing I have a problem with. YouTube doesn't show me everything. It only shows me things it thinks I'll like. How does it know what I'll like if I've never seen it before? It's not just the things that I look at usually that I like. I want to see shit that I might be offended by. I want to see things that might make me mad.
It's a business. No, that's because it's a business.
And that's a problem. That's destroying the free flow of information. That's manipulation.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, that's right. And a lot of YouTube creators are starting to bitch about the same thing.
Flowing the flow either way. It's just everything at once, or some sort of customization like this.
It's true. That's absolutely true. But the more we rely on computers to program our lives for us, the less we start thinking for ourselves and our perceptions. Suddenly, when we're confronted by anything that disagrees with our worldview, we don't believe it, and we get upset, and we fight against it, and we champion crusades and fucking march in the streets over it. And it's like, no, guys, really, it's just stupid.
I think if most people were presented with the opportunity to click on a video that they know probably they wouldn't like, they just wouldn't click on it. So really, people just don't go on YouTube for that.
No, I'm not saying that I want to. Yeah, I don't think you misunderstand me. I'm not saying I want to click on something I don't like. I'm saying I want to click on something and not know if I'm going to like it before I watch it. That's what I'm saying. I don't walk into every movie going, I'm going to love this. I walk into movies going, I hope it's good. I don't have that problem with YouTube. They only show me things they know I'll like. That's not how you explore. That's not how you find things. Look, man, you got to stick a cornhole in your butt before you know you don't like getting fucked.
It's a growing trend, and it's a problem, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, and it scares
Something
me.
we need to address.
Because the younger people that didn't grow up steeped in the internet don't actually understand that life didn't used to be this way.
Yeah.
And they're making
Actually,
life
you'd be
that way.
Surprised. The younger generation, well,
something like
they
that.
call them Gen Z
New
now.
generation.
We call them millennials here in this country.
No, millennials.
The more
is before
younger
Gen
one.
Z.
Oh, okay. So okay. No, I'm with you. Yeah, Gen Z. Yeah, Z. Sorry, that threw me off.
The ones between like I think it's 95 and 2010.
Yep.
They're like that generation now is having a massive pushback towards the establishment and media sources. If you were to ask like most of them, if you were to ask them how they perceive like the media and things like that, it would just like a good portion of them just go, we don't trust it.
That's good. That's very good.
They're pushing back against like establishment ideas.
And that's I want to be at the forefront of those kids moving that, because it seems like a whole generation of people got skipped, got ignored because they had all this other stuff, and they figured, well, they've got access to more technology than in history. They'll all get smart. And no, children don't want to learn.
They're starting to call this generation the most conservative since World War II.
Which makes no sense, because I don't see them doing any conservative actions. They're all party kids fucking each other in the streets. Like, that's not conservative behavior.
That's the loud vocal like minority.
I just don't think that I think the word conservative has been misconstrued and bought up by people who don't really have conservative values.
Traditional conservative.
Right, that's what I mean. They're
type of conservative.
yeah, it's a neoconservative kind of thing. They're opting the ideology so that they can build a totalitarian regime based on that, and then there will be no other people than them. That's what they want.
But
That's what all of these political ideologies want. They want to sever and eliminate us, the people, so that we all fit into categories, so that we're easy to identify as demographics.
Actually, with studies on Generation Z, the more individualist, the more about people and individual freedoms. The reason they call them conservative is because they're very much for like.
No, I'm talking about the establishment. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Like this generation is very much for individual freedom, but
and that's
at the same time,
because of platforms like this. They have more connectivity. They can actually talk to each other. And since they're young enough to have not been jaded by their experiences yet, they are talking to each other and they're listening because they don't know any other form. They're just listening. They just care about each other. They're just talking to each other. Once you get into a certain level of life, you get the pressures of university, you get the pressures of having a job, you start identifying yourself as godly and like make yourself into some super important being in the world. And that's all just lies and bullshit. These kids are still talking to each other.
These kids have a weird thing though, because like a lot of the points of view, like individualism and stuff, is very left wing, while they have like national security as one of the top priorities, closed borders, that sort of thing, is very right wing. So they kind of like have a mixture of both opinion. And this generation now is going into the job force in the like next year or the next 2 years, the vast majority of them.
The job market for these new generations,
they won't fit in with the current job
really
market. It's how it's set out.
I'm giving up the old ways right now. I'm already giving up the old ways right now because this is not a viable model for the future. I mean, if I want to be on the cutting edge, I already gave it up.
Even at the job sector at the moment, this generation of kids that's going into it now believes in individualism, while everything is more set out and team orientated.
Yeah, we're more connected, but they believe that their individuality makes them unique, and they're not wrong.
Work by themselves.
They're using the independent, unique ideology in an appropriate way, but I do have a problem with thinking that your opinion actually matters. Facts are more important than opinions. They aren't adults yet, those children. The adults are the ones who have given up on facts and think that their opinions are more important than facts, and that their opinions hold weight because they came up with them. That's a problem, because we taught that generation they were special their entire lives. Like, I fought that crap my whole life because I was straddling the line between Generation X and the millennials. And I hate it when people call me a millennial because I'm 35 and I used a rotary dial telephone in part of my life. Thank you so much. And it's frustrating because I see these kids and I don't want to lump people into a generation. I know people younger than me that are smarter than me and more capable than I am. I know people younger than me that are dumber than me and less capable than I am.
Yeah, I get
it's all over the board.
The generation idea, I think, is just, I get why it's there, but I don't think it truly would describe an entire generation. Just
It's like a statistics tool.
The political ideologies in this country somehow have convinced a younger generation that a twice older generation has their best interests at heart and they should team up. It doesn't make sense to me.
Over here right now, even if I speak to all my friends, like they mostly will all agree the people in power we don't trust them.
Well, you can't trust anybody who's in power. Even once you yourself, if you fought to get to the position of power, you really can't trust yourself. If you trust yourself in that seat, you're not a good leader.
I get you.
You have to check yourself. You have to be like, am I doing the right thing? And I don't see a lot of leaders asking themselves if they're doing the right thing. I see a lot of leaders just doing things because they want to, not asking the people if they're doing the right thing.
Well, put it this way, we vote them into power, so they have the gratitude.
We don't vote them into power, though. I mean, there's the upfront money game you got to play in order to be on the docket in the first place. So unless you pay for the money to be recognized by the committee that wants to have you elected.
I'm saying is they still get the idea of people votes for them, so that fills them with gratitude. That they deserve it.
I don't know that that's true either, because what about the marginalized cultures that don't want to vote for any of those candidates and therefore do not vote at all? What if we didn't have to have representatives anymore? What if we could just represent our own ideas and everyone voted on them, and then the majority wound up getting what was equitable for everyone?
I forgot what they're called. They might be in America, but they're in England as well. There's these schools that, instead of having the teachers in charge sort of thing, they get the students as well involved in all major decisions, and everyone votes.
We call those charter schools.
I don't know what we call them over here. I forgot. We call them something within.
But the students vote on their education.
Yeah, the students vote on their education, but not only that, they vote on school policies. If a student's going to be expelled,
what the new handbook is going to be.
Yeah. They all go into a massive room, all talk about it, and they all vote in the end.
In America, we were lucky when I was a child if we were allowed to pick the yearbook layout. Now, kids in America think they have so much power because they've let all those trivial things go. But what you're being educated in is not correct. We changed history books in America so that we skip over some of the negative, bad parts of history and stuff like that. Do British textbooks in history mention the fact that Britain and Germany had kind of a friendly relationship before he invaded Poland?
This is something I noticed when I was early in school. We more talked about that sort of stuff. We more when it's the dark side, but as the years
you guys didn't ignore or whitewash over your dark pasts, like the fact that you were the largest empire in history.
Yeah, no, we never whitewashed any of that.
Okay,
but
so we were atrocious and bad, and we've atoned, like that kind of thing?
That's what it was at the beginning, but as time went on, it slowly started to get more whitewashed.
Okay, so you guys have been
exactly that.
That's same thing here. We've been changing the history books. It's Animal Farm all over again, man, and pretty. It's really bad. It's really bad in America.
Because I remember year 7 is the first year of high school over here. You go into high school at age 11.
Okay, we do that at 9.
I remember being told.
First year of high school is 9. We have 4-year blocks.
I thought it was you start off elementary, middle school, then high school.
No, the 9th year of school. The 9th year of school.
Yeah, no, year 7.
Yeah, year 9. That's high school. Yeah, 9, 10, 11, and 12. That's high school for us.
Yeah.
And at that age, you're about 14.
All right. Yeah. Okay, I get you now. Yeah, I just got confused for a second.
No, yeah. Before that, middle school, it's weird because what you guys seem to have is slowly preparing the same child with the same teachers and the same peers for a long time. In America, we have get used to the no, sorry, fuck you, you're going over here now. You like that? No, we're going over here now. You never seem to get a grip on anything unless you stay in the same place.
You have the idea of middle school, though. That's my main idea.
It seems asinine to me. Because it was like elementary, and then middle school prepared you for high school, and then you went to high school, which was supposed to prepare you for college, and then you went to college, and that was supposed to prepare you for life, but it doesn't. None of these things are preparing you for a life in the world we live. They're preparing you for a life that existed in 1864.
Yep. I get what you're saying completely.
We got to do something. We've got to run for offices. We've got to stand up to power. We've got to be killed in protests. We've got to fight for what's right. Fight the power. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but and it's going to be hard to convince people that feel safety and security to go and do that.
Most people, though, in politics, you have to be above a certain age. Well, this is in England's case. You have to be above a certain age before people take you serious with politics.
Right. Before you'll be taken seriously. But here's last U.S. election, there was a gentleman named Bernie Sanders, and he ran without any campaign funding, and he ran he tried to get on the Democratic ticket, but then he backed out, and then people wrote his name in anyway because he knew what was right for the country. But Bernie Sanders wound up causing a lot of trouble because Hillary hijacked the nomination from him. I'm not going to get into the whole fucking deal because I'm not trying to rehash politics. But the point I'm trying to make is if he can get as far and as much exposure as he did with $0, no backing from the major corporations, spurned and shunned by all of the other political candidates, and memed and mocked on the internet into oblivion, and still hold as strong a game as he did, some of us are going to be able to now. There's no other qualms about it. We can do it now. If we've got the right message and we've got the right people behind us and we have sensible arguments, and with this crazy wacko up on the Oval Office now, well, it looks like we can say what we want to as well. We don't have to play by party lines. People liked what that fucker said because no one had said it ever, 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 ever. They'd had to hide their fucking opinions for decades before that guy got on the stage and said that shit. Well, if he's allowed to say all the terrible things that we're afraid of, maybe I fucking should too.
I get what you said.
Bernie Sanders wasn't just some guy, though. He had a long history.
He had a long history of developing his brand, building himself up, becoming recognized in the public eye. I know that this is a long-term project.
Well, things are going to get worse before they get better, because you still got to remember we have that generation before that believe in so they're going to get into politics before another generation does.
Well, I'm legally old enough to run for president right now. I'm not going to because it costs a great deal of money to get on the docket in the first place, and even more money to buy ads, run in any meaningful way, hold fundraisers.
I don't get the American culture with ads, though.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah. No, I don't get it either. The reason we have ads is because it became legal for the campaign donations are how all politicians gain exposure. They don't go out and talk to people anymore. They just have ads, and they don't even have to produce the ads anymore. Now you can set up separate and third-party campaign donation funds just for ads and banners and propaganda and all that stuff for you, because it's a Rube Goldberg machine of choices and changes that have been slowly and steadily eroding the American ideology with additional amendments. See, the Constitution, a lot of people want to hold that up. First and foremost, is an ancient document that needs to be revised. I don't know a whole lot of companies or legal professionals that don't revise their contractual obligations every few years, and we haven't done it for 200. We just keep amending the thing and adding more stuff onto it.
The Constitution is based off the Maximus Suffin. It's a very old British text that's even older.
I'm familiar with the Magna Carta as well. Yes,
Magna Carta.
I
there
know
we go.
that.
I can't remember what it's called.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm talking based off that.
But we're the only ones who still have our first Constitution. You guys rewrote your shit 5 times in the last 80 years. You're at least trying to change things. We don't even do that. We amend the Constitution to undo shit that we did before. We have amendments to remove slavery. We have amendments to illegalize booze, and then another amendment 3 amendments later to re-legalize booze. We have amendments for stickers on poultry. It's asinine. There are 10,000 laws in this country that I am capable of breaking and going to prison forever for.
Oh,
and I don't even know what they are. I don't even know. I'm probably breaking 8 of them right now. Just sitting here talking to you guys.
In America.
Unauthorized international communications, conspiracy to overthrow the government. I mean, who the fuck knows what's going on right now? They could get me.
Your city planning, though, is completely stupid. How you guys planned your cities were completely stupid. Look at London compared to New York.
Come on, man. Like it's just like the Constitution. We just keep building up onto this stuff. Come on. You guys invented Freemasonry. You're seriously trying to hold that against me? Like, come on. I didn't construct Philadelphia 200 years ago. Your cities have been around since fucking Neanderthal times. All right, I don't want to fucking hear it.
You guys have so many restrictions on how you can build your cities. Like New York has restrictions that they can only build it up in a certain way.
At least New York City doesn't have a mayor that's exempt from the leader of your country.
Actually,
London.
That's the city of London.
The city of London.
London.
Yeah, you want to explain that shit to me? What the fuck?
Yeah, there's 2 Londons. There's 2 Londons, right? The city of London is a thing because that's the original London, right? It basically got exempted from the UK because they were like bitchy back years ago.
Right.
And then people started building around it and that became London. It's a really long and stupid thing.
Yeah, so why don't you guys just conquer that, Canterbury and London? Like, what's up with that? Because the Queen isn't allowed to tell London anything. Parliament cannot dictate the laws of London. Like, it's weird.
The part of the United Kingdom, but they're just their own separate entity. And they work well currently with us. So
The United Kingdom of England and Scotland and the Northern Ireland?
Yep.
Because that isn't a thing anymore.
It is a thing.
Theoretically. Scotland, they're still... Didn't they vote to
England
be independent?
Will never let go of Scotland.
Yeah, but Scotland voted to be independent, didn't they?
No, they didn't.
Didn't they? I thought they did. Because they keep having a vote, and I keep missing what the answer is.
What happened was before Brexit, they voted to stay in the United Kingdom, and then after Brexit, they're just like, no, we want to leave now because we didn't get our way.
We really just need to take the U out of there. It's just kingdom now. It's not united. IRA, most of Scotland. Come on, you guys aren't united anymore. You're just kingdom. And do you have any idea how many Brits get pissed off at me when I call them Brits and they're like, no, I'm English?
It's actually Britain and England.
Yeah.
We are English.
You're the same thing, though.
Yeah,
You're
British
the United
and English
Kingdom
are
of
exactly the same
England,
thing.
Scotland, and Northern Ireland. But if I call you British, that's not correct, even though it is the Kingdom of Britannia. Like, it's... Do you get how I'm like, what the fuck? You guys invented this language. Why can't you speak it?
We will never let Scotland go. Simple reason because we have too much riding in Scotland at the moment. Like, England stores all our nuclear missiles in Scotland. That's one major thing why we'll never let them go.
Why do we need all the nuclear missiles?
Because we really want to
Because other people have nuclear missiles. It's the same reason we need lawyers.
Yeah.
You can blame America for that. Rather than fight a ground war, we decided to just do the bad thing. Since we did the bad thing, this is the product of that bad thing. In World War II, we did the bad thing and we ended that war. However possible on that side of the ocean. Your boys and France and a lot of other people fought on the European side, but we said Japan shut the fuck up, and Japan shut the fuck up, and we took responsibility for that. But the Rube Goldberg machine of choices that happened after that, all the countries deciding to arm, the United Nations Security Council, North Korea, all of it is a product of us doing that, inventing that way to do that. And we don't take responsibility for it in this country. We bandage over the wounds, but we don't put any salve on them, and we don't regard them, and we act like, no, we never got stabbed. Meanwhile, we're bleeding into our shoes.
I found out an interesting fact like the other day, though, that shocked me. You know how the United States is like 20 trillion in debt?
Yes.
I found out 16 trillion of that was to Russia. I thought it was to China.
Yep. No. No. Russia and China occasionally exchange the securities. China recently sold all of our debt to Russia because they wanted their currency to be worth more. That's why the Chinese dollar or yen, or what is it, Ling? The Li. Yeah. Now, that's why the Li has gone up substantially over the last few years. They don't hold any unpaid debts anymore. They've been shilling their unpaid debt so they can afford whatever it is they're about to do. Russia, on the other hand, doesn't give a shit about unpaid debts. They're the trailer park who keeps their lights on by running fire. So they bought all our debts. Now Russia and China have a common reason to be together. They're compatriots, and they are the largest land masses on Earth and have the most people on Earth and are going to try again. It's gonna happen. And we've got a stooge. He's not even a fucking. They want to act like he's a sleeper agent. No, he's just an idiot they put in there so they could do whatever they want. Like, do you not get it, guys? He's not.
I find it funny people will still make the 40 chess memes that he's playing 40 chess.
Oh God, damn it! No, like really, yeah. No. Like, I read enough news to get the real story. I don't just look at one source, and it's every day I look at it, and every day I'm like, is this the day? Is today the day? Is this the day that the American dream ends? Like, what is happening here?
Oh,
are we waking up yet?
You just remind everybody saying the American dream. Do you know the younger generation now? They don't believe in the American dream as much as the older generations.
No, the American dream is gone. The American dream used to be with nothing. You can pull yourself up by your bootstraps and then put yourself into a mansion. That's what the American dream was. But that's not the American dream anymore. The American dream is, oh God, I hope the government doesn't take everything I have and throw me in the street. That's the American dream. I hope I can hold on to enough to not get screwed. That's it. And it's a shame.
You still guys got still one thing riding for you.
Please tell me.
Your guys your guys' idea on political correctness and what you can say is a far better than what it is in England. You know what Trump says and stuff. If he said that in England, he'd probably be locked up for hate crime.
Yeah, we do have a variety of loose, constructed ideas that are allowed to be said because of the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law prohibiting the freedom of speech or the press or of religion or of the people peaceably to assemble to petition their government for a redress of grievances. So that means that we can say whatever we want about whoever we want, as long as it's not like, oh, I'm going to kill you, because that's a threat, not a statement. So you can say that the president is a moron and he can go fuck himself. And it is okay for the press, the people who write the news, to say, we think the president is a moron, he can go fuck himself. And it's okay for religions to say, we want to believe in whatever dumb cockamamie shit that we came up with. And it's okay for all of us, the people of the United States, to walk up to Washington and say, no, you're a fucking moron, you need to change the shit. That's what the first law in the American ideology is. And we did that because we wanted to stick the face to King George. Well, we're not sticking it anymore, guys. We have no one to stick it to. We're the one who's getting stuck to because we're sticking it. We're like, we would stick it to the whole world. There's no reason to do that. We don't need to have a chip on our shoulders. We're the most powerful country on earth as far as military might is concerned, and there is no reason for us to continue acting like these children. It's stupid. We don't have to prove ourselves anymore. Can we be nice now?
It's basically the whole thing with like a school bully. You're telling them to be nice.
But they're not. They aren't a bully because they're mean. They're a bully because they have some intrinsic part inside of them that's broken they need to fulfill. You know, I mean, just saying, oh, be nice isn't going to stop a bully. A bully needs something from that. He's doing that for a reason.
Yeah.
Or her. Girls are the worst. I mean, boys just beat each other up. Girls break each other to the point of suicide.
We just need better psychology and education in general.
I think with better like education over a period of time, things will be a lot better.
Yeah, but the education is in control of those in power.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. I mean, you can't really be in control of the process itself.
No. Yeah, teaching people is something you do individually.
What I'm saying is they need revised.
Yeah.
Smaller classrooms, for sure. Apprenticeship programs.
In England, I seen someone made the point. He made like a rap song thing stating all the things wrong with the British educational. And one of the points he made was, like, basically, the school should be teaching us basic stuff like taxes and that sort of thing. And everyone who replies back is just like, no, the parents should teach that. And, like, instantly it's just instantly like, what parents ain't a thing? What if the parents ain't there to teach morals? The school should be doing it.
Why can't they use the skills that they learned at school to go and learn about it themselves?
Because there's a huge detachment from, like, your school skills and actual ones you need. Like, I learned a lot of new stuff when I actually started doing shit myself. Like, you don't really get this connection.
Also, in schools, sending children to school and saying you have to learn this because you have to without giving
you
them
don't
a reason
know why
why.
you're doing this.
And that really messes with kids' minds because kids are just like, I don't want to do what you say. I want to do my own thing.
I mean, I've seen that diss track, but I'm really mad at it because it's like, just don't learn math, you don't need it, but that's bullshit. You do need it.
That's not what I'm saying, not to learn math, but to like give kids reasons and ideas why they would learn.
One of the key points.
Yeah, like instead of just saying you need to learn this because it's on a text paper, give them an example of real world situation where they would use it.
It's just a different approach.
Yes. I have asked the teacher. I've asked the teacher many times, and they always said because it's on the test paper.
Because it's on the page, yeah. Rote memorization is a very ineffective way of teaching anyone, especially when they only know how to parrot those trivia factoids as opposed to reason whether they have meaning or not and how you got to that meaning. And most children just coasting, man. All they're doing is memorizing factoids, and it makes it easy because we make it easier to pass because the higher passing grades we have, the more funding we get. The whole thing is fucked up.
And they usually solve it by just adding more and more homework, and that's really crazy.
It just seems like a culture of gaming the system to get ahead as opposed to actually getting ahead. And there's more people gaming the system than there are those getting ahead.
Most educational systems or schools don't see pupils as pupils. They see them as a unit.
A commodity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you're making it a profitable system, of course you're gonna get this kind of result. It's like prisons and everything.
We got for-profit prisons in America, and that's why we have the highest rate of incarceration of any nation on earth.
It's not only that; it's been, I think, for the school I was talking about, charter schools. To send a kid to a charter school by the government would cost the same amount of money it currently costs to send a kid to a state school.
True.
Which is public.
But the argument that they would make, and public schools are basically state schools anyway, the argument that they would make is that,
public schools over here is private schools. Don't ask me why.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because here we have private schooling, which are charter schools.
Yeah.
And
we don't have that over.
Yeah, you have to pay to get a good you have to pay to get your children a decent education.
It's same over here.
Right.
State schools are schools provided by the government, and you have public schools, which is basically private schools.
Right, and teachers who teach in private schools get the opportunity to focus more on their students and pupils than the teachers in a variety of other kind of schooling. But the fact that we have public schools is I don't know.
Well, they're trying to fit too many children into one class with there's only one teacher teaching about 30 people.
Right.
How many? I wouldn't be able to handle it. I know that. 30 kids screaming at me, and I'm trying to
Yeah, and one of them might have a gun in America.
And you're gonna try and take profit out of the scheme, but that's basically something like socialism, and people really oppose that.
That's because
not take the profit out of the thing. Make it a non-profit thing in the first place.
Here's the thing, okay? Communism gets a really bad rap because the things that we call communism in this country aren't actually communism. Deepak, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea is not a communist nation. Russia is not a communist nation. China is not a communist nation. Vietnam is not a communist nation. They're all totalitarian regimes who masquerade as communism to trick their people. This is my concern. There are no communist nations on Earth. Communism doesn't actually exist.
Even if we remove big words like communism, people still oppose the idea that
well, the Bolsheviks stole fucking Marx's ideology and used it to stampede across the Tsar.
I'm not taking that. That's cool, but I'm not talking about that. If you just get rid of big words, you're still gonna get people opposing the idea.
Oh yeah, just because it's socialism, they've been indoctrinated to hate it.
That's the opposite of what I'm trying to say.
Oh, you're talking about educated economists.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not actually espousing communism. I'm just trying to point out that what people actually hate as communism isn't communism.
Oh yeah, that's known. Yeah.
The only way communism works is on incredibly small models, like a farm or a business. All businesses are communist.
If you look at Finland, right, it's pretty socialist, and it works there.
Right. It's socialism, though. It's not communism.
Yeah. But
it's a revised. It's not the Marxist view of communism.
But what I'm saying is, it works on small scales. So what if we separated the educational system from that and made them into this own sector thing?
To separate the educational system from capitalism?
Separate the educational system from the government as a whole. Still have it funded by taxes and stuff. But I don't know. I can't word it, but I have an idea in my head.
Oh, basically, we have bits of cool stuff from different systems, and we're just gonna play Lego and build something.
Yeah,
but we have to convince a whole. This is the hard part. We have to start talking to the younger people now, because the older people are never going to adopt these ideas. They think we're crazy. They think we're trying to kill them. They will look at us as enemies of the state. Just even espousing these ideas in 5 or 10 years may become a crime.
Well, that's your thing. You have this new media like YouTube, and you can build up pretty big.
Even YouTube is starting to bow to the whims of capitalist ideal.
But it still works. It still works for you.
Right now, if we don't do something, though, it won't.
Let's say not YouTube, but just the idea of internet, the way it works, the way you gain popularity and weight.
Well, if the internet disappears...
the internet will never disappear at this point. It's basically too infringed on us.
I'm sorry, but have you ever heard of electromagnetic pulse? You know, the internet isn't just it's held by computers. If we bomb the major data centers and stores of those computers, we will no longer be able to communicate.
It's not like the physical idea of internet. It's like the idea that we can all be interconnected and just talk to each other.
I'm talking about the actual physical infrastructures of the internet. The idea that we'll all be connected, no, that has forever altered some of us, but not all of us. Only those of us in a younger state of mind are affected by this and understand the internet is a community of ideas, whereas other people believe the internet is nothing more than where people post their pictures of nasty, stupid things and bad news. That's what they see the internet as, a joke. It's still a joke to the people in power and to the people that are in control of those people in power because they're old enough to have had their lives longer than ours.
Well, put it this way. The internet at the moment is shaping a generation.
Yeah, it is. And we have to
if
find...
you look at YouTubers like PewDiePie now. He's basically turned an entire generation of kids against the establishment because the establishment went after him. Because remember the whole thing with him, with some medias, the Washington Post and stuff, and going after him over that situation. Before that and after
that's a uniquely American
Post,
thing too. We really just love jumping down somebody's throat. Really love it. Oh my God! Look, somebody who's worse than us. Get him!
I think that comes from the British.
That kind of comes from tribalism.
Yeah, it's more tribalism. Yeah. That's back to sport, because that's what that is. Yeah. It's all tribalism. We get to keep our tribes.
It's like a decorative tribalism.
Even in the neoconservative and neoliberal movements, it's tribalism. It's not even a thoughtful debate.
We always go back to our roots in the end of it.
Always human psychology. You can't run away from this.
Yeah.
I only came to lurk for a bit, and then I'm going to go back to watching The Dark Knight.
Human psychology is a thing that will never be rewritten.
I'm not entirely...
Well, that's something you'd be fighting the entire way if you were going to make some kind of global economy.
No, we'd be fighting against the other large economists, but we don't need to fight against them if we sever ourselves. Look at what's going on with Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Oh yeah, no, Bitcoin has jumped up massively. In England now, it's one Bitcoin is worth $5,000.
Yeah.
A few years ago, it was next to nothing.
But you've got to consider, here's the thing about Bitcoin. Right now, if I take U.S. dollars and invest them, I can get more U.S. dollars. Right now, if I get any amount of Bitcoins and they increase in value, I then have to exchange those Bitcoins and can no longer buy more Bitcoins.
Yeah, it's still not quite
an economy, yeah. But it's being proved that we can eliminate the existing models of economic dysfunction and create our own.
It's like first steps. We get the first proof of work of how it's gonna be, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We see first steps in the space race or something like that.
Yep, space race is a big deal.
The more Bitcoin matures, the better off it will be. Because it's still very young. Think about it.
Well, we were more connected and more talking about the space race. We were more connected and more advancing our technologies and healthily competitive and good-natured ribbing from each side of the countries and stuff when we were trying to get to the moon.
Yeah.
And once that happened, we all just said, okay, whatever.
Because of competition with Russia.
Right. And it wasn't just that, but it was a competition around the world to see who could do it. And I really like this. America and Japan have challenged each other this year to a robot fight.
Oh, yeah.
That's healthy competition.
That's healthy competition. That's the kind of shit that we need to see. We need to see other companies being like, yeah, you guys are cool. Hey, we're going to show you up. Well, we'll show you up too. Look, everybody wins. We all get something out of it. That's what we need more of.
We achieve the most when we are competing against each other.
And when we work together to achieve some similar goal. Even those competitions are usually for some similar goal. Make the best solar car. Come up with a new way to filter water. These are things that we need. And what do we wind up competing over? Who can make the saltier potato chip?
Well, look at Elon Musk with his idea with Tesla.
He's so weird and hard to talk to, but I fucking love him.
Yeah, but everyone said with Tesla he would never get this far. Or even SpaceX.
That's what people always tell me whenever I have an idea. They're going to say, oh, you can't do that. That's impossible. Fuck you. I don't give a shit what you think. I'm going to do it. Or I'm going to fail. It's a worthy thing to fail at something worth doing.
The problem with that is you can really you don't have to like accomplish the whole deal. You can just ride on the hype, and that's why I'm paranoid with Elon Musk in general. You can.
I don't think he's riding on the hype though.
Oh no, Elon Musk. No, he's working. Come on, he came up with Tesla, one of the most popular cars in America right now. It is the top-selling automobile.
It's the second most popular. It's the second most popular, biggest car company in America at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's an all-electric car that can drive itself, built by Musk's company. I don't think he's blowing smoke up anybody's ass.
With still really inefficient batteries and really costly ones.
Have you ever seen Elon Musk in an interview? Because he clearly does not care what you think. He doesn't give a shit if you approve of him or not. He's not looking for anything from you at all. He doesn't give a shit about it.
The point with Elon Musk is everyone said years ago, in like when he first announced Tesla and stuff, that he was never going to do it.
Oh, you're trying to revive the electric car? Look at this joker.
The cars they create might not be the best cars at the moment, but he still managed to do it. When no one said he wouldn't even be able to do it how he is now.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, it's not quite what he like. I know it's not quite what the promise is.
It's not what the promise is, but he still managed to get it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's partly the hype I'm talking about.
He wants to change the world, and with the space race, it's going to make it easier for us to see those healthy competitions, thereby driving a younger generation to want to achieve those kinds of goals. That's what happened to my generation when we had the space shuttles and stuff. Is Bentley a cheap car in your country?
No.
Okay, what about Jaguars?
Cheap anyway.
No.
What's a cheap compact in your country?
Ford.
The only company that didn't need to ask for money when they all got bailed out. Ford. I own a Ford.
Golf. That sort of car.
Okay, Golf? All right, because we see those as kind of a pricey import over here. Yeah. Well, you guys can just truck them, though. You can just truck them, yeah. Laureate.
That's the first time I've seen a Tesla on the road, though.
That's got to be a fucking $100,000 ride right there.
Yeah, because they have to ship them from America.
Here in the U.S., they're okay. So for you, that would be about 70,000 pounds.
Yeah. Well, the newest Tesla car, I think it's the Model 3, is it?
Yeah, Model 3.
That's only like $30K in America, isn't it?
Yeah, that's their new priceable model.
They're like slightly behind on production, but they are doing it.
That's because everybody bought one before they were made.
Yeah.
They didn't expect to sell that money before they were in production.
You know what was the greatest thing, though? People, you know what stock people do, like people that trade in stocks?
Yeah.
They will sell their stocks, and when they think the company's going to go down, they will sell their stocks, then they'll rebuy at a cheaper price.
Right.
But with Tesla, they did that because it looked like Tesla was going down because the Model 3 is behind.
Uh-huh.
But all of a sudden, Elon Musk drops something, and the stocks instantly rise again.
Yep.
Like for a far greater price.
Yeah. They are proving without a doubt that the capitalist model of we make a product and you pay us for it is gone. It's dead. Kickstarter, GoFundMe, Elon Musk to some degree. You pay us for something you want, we'll build it for you.
Yeah.
That's the new model. That's the way it's going. If you make a good product, somebody will give you money for it, that's sure. But you don't get to dictate how that goes anymore. The consumer has more power now than they ever have before. Consumers are the reason that brick and mortar stores have shut down thanks to the digital landscape.
That's kind of another problem with your like optimized production, and like you don't really get some oddballs or something like that. Like everything is just optimized for the market.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying is with the market it's only produced for the market. There isn't like no
right. There's no other reason for it to exist. It's only made to be sold and then disposed of. What kind of product is that? I'm looking at like 8 things in my house that I can use over and over again, just sitting here. The desk I'm using my computer on, not one of them. It is a shitty, cheap, put-together desk, and I've moved it twice now, and the next time it moves, it is not going to survive. That's just how these things go. And it bothers me that this has become the new way.
I mean, it's a new way for a while. Like, most of my Soviet furniture is kind of like that. It's just because it's accessible and cheap enough to product in, like, huge numbers.
For me, it's always been I'd rather pay more for like a product that is better quality and is going to last me a while I've seen other people would rather pay less for a product that isn't going to last as long and will break sooner.
It just takes like, you got to be an expert in every single thing to be like with something that would last longer, I guess.
if you want to be
you don't have to be an expert. You can do simple research now. A Google search, you can find out most things.
I mean, yeah.
This is the problem. People don't want to learn because they have instantaneous gratification. They don't have to learn. They can watch a cute video about their favorite movie for 16 hours.
It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I see people learn, like, getting expertise in topics, but like it's hard to spread around everything. Like you would get a nice kitchen, but your PC would be shitty. Like you only have this much hours of work.
Okay, just out of curiosity, what do your YouTube queues consist of? Mine are almost exclusively TED Talks, news, math, and science videos.
A lot of memes, music, bullshit, mostly entertainment.
Mine consists of a mixture of entertainment and news and politics.
I know people whose YouTube queues consist of nothing but list articles about neat stuff.
What stuff?
This is your common YouTuber is watching
people that
inane,
watch
mindless, and dopamine feeding garbage.
List videos. You know, like top 10.
Here's the top 10 ways you can go camping for $8,000. You know, that kind of thing.
Like digested. Yeah, I get it.
Sure, I will watch one of those videos from occasion because they're just so bad.
They're
funny to me.
They're fun, but I mean, there are people who do nothing but look at those types of things.
It's like prioritizing because you need to grow somehow, and it's like an easy way to do so, I guess.
I mean, who the hell doesn't like a list video once in a while?
Pretty much.
I mean, I'll always wind up going into my roommate's room when he's like, oh, I'm not watching a gaming video. He'll be watching some cool list video. And I'm like, oh, shit, what's that? Oh, that's neat. I want one of those. You know, I mean, like... But I know people who like don't understand that this is a place. This is a whole community of people.
Let's say you have like your built-up interests and choices that brought you to your YouTube personalized experience. And all it takes is just some little distortion, some mistakes, some, I don't know, surprises to just spice it up a little and make it different for you. And like it just won't be the same road. It will take you somewhere else every time.
I will say that we have, English, Martin, we have accepted a lot more shit in the last, 10 years or 20 years. I can't probably say because I'm still young, but we have accepted a lot more shit, even since I can remember, that has been a lot more socially acceptable.
Right. Things that didn't used to be, not even acceptable, but openly ostracized and demeaned, mocked as a part of society, now are gaining ground as legitimate political movements somehow. Because I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm gay.
Like the pronoun debate. What?
Oh my god, I hate that.
I'm not fond of it either. I am not trying to say that you don't have the right to do with your own body whatever you want. And if you tell me what it is you want me to call you, I'm not going to have an issue with that because what the fuck do I care? They're just words. But if I say the wrong pronoun to you because I am making a judgment based on the appearance in front of me, shut the fuck up. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, you dumb whatever.
It annoys me even the fact that even if they tell me what they want me to call them, is that they, if I don't want to call them that, I still have to call them that according to...
Yeah, that's another thing. You don't really get to choose your name. On the internet you do, but
I don't believe in calling someone by a pronoun simply because you're forcing your political ideology on me, which I don't like. If you weren't forcing it on me, I would be more willing to call you.
At that point, I usually just start referring to people as their name. When it gets to that fucking level, if someone who is going through a male to female transition, or a female to male transition, wants me to call them by their preferred pronoun, I don't give a shit. It's just going to confuse me for 3 seconds, and then I'm going to get over it, and then it's just language again. Who fucking cares? When you're talking about the Jli or I'm gender fluid, what the fuck does that even mean? No one gives a shit if you're a man or a woman. It doesn't matter. I'm just trying to talk to you. Your gender is meaningless. Your race is meaningless. Your nationality is meaningless. You are a skeleton wandering around on a rock. What we need to really do is we need to start having a single world education. If we all knew the same information, we would no longer have these difficulties.
I think one of the biggest things as well, when we're young, parents need to stop pointing out that we're different towards other people. Because when you're a kid, when I was a kid, I would play outside with other kids, black kids, white kids, Hispanic kids.
They were just kids.
I didn't think about this person as this. I just thought, oh, you want to play with me? This person's nice. This person's good. We're having fun.
No one gives a shit.
It's until the parents that basically say, no, this person's different. Or when you're in the educational system where they point out, these people are different from you.
And here's why. And here's why you should be afraid.
It's kind of the same with girls, especially with girls.
When I was a young man and I didn't know anything different about women and didn't care, we were just friends. But then when we started being forced into the gender roles of schools and things like that, it started becoming more apparent that we weren't the same. And the only reason we weren't the same is because they told me that. Now, women really get pissed when I don't treat them like they're special, just like I treat everybody. Everybody gets the same. You all earn the same level of respect based on your actions, character, behavior, and intellect. Those are the only ways. And that's my only criteria. You be sexy and you be adult. Those are my criterion. You know what I mean? So I really legit don't see men and women as any different.
Speaking about treating people different today, a case happened today. We were speaking about like jobs and different places to work, and someone brings up the fact about Google. So I say, Google work you as a slave. Yeah. All the white people in the room turned towards me because there was like one black dude in the room. I didn't even like think about it this way. They all turned towards me just like, Martin, you can't say that. I'm like, say what? Because the black dude was thinking about working for Google, and like we were bringing up points why he shouldn't, because like Google isn't the best company to work.
Oh, they just immediately went to. I bet you he didn't go to a point of race with that. I bet you he didn't even fucking care.
I didn't. He laughed at it. He was just like, what the fuck?
Why you gotta be so goddamn sensitive about
he
shit?
Didn't even realize it either. Like I just said it. He just was like, continue speaking it, and then when they pointed out,
other people, the white people are the ones who got offended by the racist statement because they're the ones who were racist. Here's a good joke to throw at anybody who's telling racist jokes. You let them tell a couple of nasty racist jokes that end with the N-word and whatever they're doing. And then you say, hey, what do you call a black man flying an airplane? A pilot.
Yeah, I've heard that one before.
It's just, it really shuts it down. Because everyone laughs at it, too, because it's a funny joke.
Yeah, these people, they don't think they're racist. This is the thing.
Right, they don't think they're racists. Because they're saying what is and isn't okay to say, and it's like it's not okay to say a word that is a thing. Like that's what? We have to change the language now because you guys are afraid that I'm going to hurt someone else's feelings? Maybe he has the right to tell me that I'm hurting his feelings, but you fucking assholes don't have the right to tell me I'm hurting someone else's feelings. That's bullshit.
It even took me a minute to realize what they were inferring I was saying. Like, I sat there for a minute just like, what? Trying to work it out. Then I realized, and I'm like, no, I didn't mean that at all.
Oh, yeah, he's black. It took you a second to go like, oh, yeah, he's black. That's what it took. It took you to think in your head all the normal things that you would think and then go, oh, wait, he's black. It's the last thing you thought about. It was the very last thing that occurred to you, his race, because it didn't fucking matter because his race and gender and sexual orientation are all meaningless.
In the end, like, I thought he's black. And even still, I was like, what? And then I like think back to history. I'm like, oh, I'm just like, why? I didn't mean at this context anymore. I meant it in the old saying as they will like work you as a slave.
Well, one thing that's a problem with white culture is there's no mention of it, recognition of it, or understanding of that's how the country was built. Literally built by black slaves in this country.
Well, after World War II, most people like to forget that.
And that's a problem, too. Everybody wants to forget shit.
England shipped a bunch of people from Jamaica and like the Caribbean islands over to England to rebuild England after World War II.
Yeah, but they kind of paid them. Kind of. Not really the way they should have, but kind of.
Yeah, but like what I'm saying is people like to forget that. No, it wasn't really paid them. It was more like volunteered to come over to England.
Is this like a dark part of British history that I'm unfamiliar with?
It's not really dark, but when they came over, they were basically treated like utter shit.
Okay.
It was same with the Irish. They invited Irish people.
Yeah.
Over.
Irish people were slaves. They legitimately were slaves.
Yeah.
They were looked down on more than freed slaves were when they moved to this country.
Yeah. So a big thing was in England at the time, you would see signs on pubs and like hotels and stuff saying no dogs, no things, no Irish, and no black people.
Right.
Yeah. So and most people like to forget about that.
Yeah. Most people would like to forget that they did bad things. I own up to all the terrible things I've ever done. I stand by them as a man, and I don't try to ignore that they made me who I am. I don't make those choices because I have made those choices. Right. I know what the consequences are from experience.
I'm still young, so I haven't made like that many bad choices. But I know I've made choices with my education and stuff that I've accepted. This is my fault for fucking up like this.
I would rather have 1,000 failures than 0 success.
I get what you're saying. You learn from each failure.
Right. It's not just learning from each failure either, though.
You just reminded me of something Elon Musk said again. Sorry, Elon Musk is one of my idols. So
all right. He's an idyllic figure.
Like, he says, if you're not failing, you're not doing something right. And it's just like, I love that quote.
This podcast is brought to you by Buffalo Bill's Lotion. You rub it on your skin, or else you'll get the hose again. The video series is different than the audio series, though. I want to talk to everybody everywhere, and I'm trying to get as many people as I can to discuss these things with and find out how they see the world, where they are, and it's not that different. It's really not that different. We're all experiencing the same disparity. We're all going through the same economic dysfunction. We're all going through the same political clusterfucks. It's odd, but we're all seeming to agree at the same time that gold has no value.
It all rounds itself up.
Yeah, that's I am a professional. That is kind of what I do.